What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today we have an E46 lower control arm install video for you guys. We're going to show you guys the steps along the way. Let's get started. So this is my buddy Andy's E46 323i wagon, and he's recently had a little bit of an issue with some noise in the front end. We narrowed it down to one of the bushings on the lower control arm. It has a little bit of play in it and we can easily see it move. So today we're going to go ahead and replace it. So our first step is to take off this dust shield underneath the car. That way that you can have access to this bolt up here on this lower control arm that connects it to the subframe. So step number one under the car, we're going to go ahead and take off this first bolt that connects the lower control arm to the knuckle in the front. It is an 18mm. Once we get that loose, the bushing should drop down and we can move on to the next one. Alrighty, we got that one nut off. Time to move on to the next one. We're going to go ahead and do the one that connects the lower control arm to the subframe. We ended up using this really long 21mm wrench to get in there and get it loose. Unfortunately, I don't think you can really fit a ratchet in there, so it's going to take some time with the wrench. We're going to be patient with it, get that nut off, so that way we can go ahead and move on to the Lollipop bushing that connects it to the body. So before we can go ahead and take off the Lollipop bushing, the two bolts for that, we do have to take off this cross member, which that involves a few 16mm bolts, which then that will come right off and we'll have access to these two right here that we need to take out. Now I'm going to go and get a pry bar, that way I can go ahead and pry this bushing out, because they're kind of tough in there. And then this one, hopefully I can pry this out as well. If you have a ball joint fork tool, that'll probably help. I think we're just going to run with the pry bar, but that way this thing can be free. Sometimes PB Blaster helps loosen up these ball joints, especially since they've been in there for 20 years. Definitely it was working.
You got on the pickle now.
Pull it out. Nice. Woo! Good work, fellas. Good work. What we ended up having to do is go get some pickle forks or some tie rod separators. Ended up having to jam those in there, which definitely helped, and then just hammering away at it to get both of the bushings out. What also helped was take off the caliper in the front. That way we had more room and a better angle at it to get that one out of the knuckle. Alrighty, so before we go ahead and install the new lower control arm, we're going to go ahead and put the Lollipop bushing on it. I went ahead and matched up the orientation from the old one that we just took out. So now, put a little WD-40 in there, took my dead little hammer, hammering it on a decent little ways until it sits about like what the old one looks like now. That way we can go ahead and drop this new one in. Don't forget to go ahead and take these off. These are for shipping. And we're gonna go and put it in just like we took the old one out, which should be it should be a lot easier than taking that one out, because that was a bit of a pain. So we just finished up the lower control arm install on this side. Quick tip, don't forget, whenever you take your brake caliper off, if you decide to do so, whenever you dangle it, it's supposed to reside on this side of the control arm. But however, whenever you take off the old control arm and put on the new one, make sure it does not slip to that side. We made that mistake and we were not able to get it back over, so we had to take it completely back off to get the caliper back where it needed to be. And that was such a pain, so don't forget to do that if you take your caliper off. Make sure when you put the new control arm on that the caliper stays on this side, because the brake line wraps around. Do not forget, if this video helped you out, make sure to go subscribe. Also hit the thumbs up, it helps a lot more people find the video and it'll help them out as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next video.